Even though the Arizona Cardinals don't have a head coach, they've still got three things going for them, which is more than many teams can say.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. I'm not going to talk about Kevin Durant yet. Want to wait for that trade to go through and compare it to the Arizona Cardinals in myriad ways. You can check out Brendan Clean, Locked On Suns, one of my boys, for all of your Phoenix Suns Kevin Durant news. I do want to wait until it's actually official before I can do anything regarding content for this show. But thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. So the Cardinals don't have a head coach yet. Sean Payton went to Denver. Brian Flores took a DC job. Frank Reich took Carolina. So I understand there's a little potential unrest regarding the Cardinals not having a leader on the field yet, but could be worse. And I thought about this, like what I wanted to talk about today. Do I want to talk about Sean Payton again? No. Do I want to talk about Vance Joseph again? No. Brian Callahan? No. The DC and OC with the Eagles and Eric Bieniemy, already talked about that. I like to come up with as much original content as I possibly can for this dang podcast. And I was thinking about, after talking about Kyler Murray yesterday in depth, kind of looking for broad stroke reasons to be positive for where the Cardinals are. And for you who have listened since 2017, thank you. I don't do it to be positive just to be positive. I like to find angles that make people think, that make you smile about being an Arizona Cardinal fan, even though at times it can be, mind-numbingly difficult to do so. But there are three things that I came up with that you can sit and have solace in the fact that these three things are happening for the Arizona Cardinals organization at the current time, even though they don't have a head coach. And one is going to be kind of cheeky. I'm going to save it till the end. But the first one is Monti Ossenfort. Okay? So this isn't Michael Bidwell made the right move. This is Monti Ossenfort with his history is a huge home run for the Cardinals. And I think we need a little bit of a throwback conversation about that. With his extensive history in scouting. Sure, I've gotten a couple mentions about, well, look at this draft with the Titans draft. Look, that he was an executive then. He wasn't the GM. He's never been a GM before. But having a history of winning and being around successful organizations is something that not a lot of executives can. Half the NFL hasn't won a Super Bowl. Organizations have never won a Super Bowl. So the fact that he was around for 4 in New England and around for a couple of years where the Titans were a top seed in the AFC, like he's been around winning. And he has an extensive history regarding scouting. And those two things are two things that Steve Keim didn't have, either of them. I know Steve Keim had scouting history, but didn't necessarily translate. So Monti Ossenfort is kind of a unicorn in the fact that he's been around winning a lot during his tenure as an executive around myriad organizations in the NFL. That's something the Cardinals have going for them. Checking the boxes as a general manager, even though a first-time GM, it's hard to check those boxes. It's not like this guy led the defense of one team. That means he's going to translate into a great head coach. We've seen it happen less times than more. We've seen it happen not more than we've seen it actually happen. There's so much turnover as head coach in the NFL. How many long-tenured head coaches are there? 6? 5? Andy Reid, Belichick, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, just off the top of my head, there's under 10. So what I'm saying is the boxes are even harder to check for potential GM hires. And Monti Ossenfort checked the boxes for the Cardinals specifically. Scouting, positive. Been around winning a lot, especially compared to others. Positive. And that's something that's a pillar for the future for the Cardinals. Now, could it blow up in everybody's faces? Maybe. There's always an opportunity for things to not go the way you want them to go. But up until this point, from his introductory press conference, which we know is more political than anything, through now, they're doing their due diligence. And maybe not jumping on one guy, be like, okay, this is the guy we need to hire a head coach. This isn't free agency. It kind of is, but it's not the same. It's like, okay, if you want to get this player, you may need to pay a little bit more. You may need to do it quicker than what you want, things like that, where the Cardinals sat on their hands last offseason with in the beginning of free agency. Like, this is kind of the same, but it's got way more of a magnified approach to it where they have to get this right. This is what Michael Bidwell's reputation will look like. You moved away from Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. Good. Now, what are you going to do with it? If they regress, he's going to look like the same guy. But hiring Monti Ossenfort quickly, especially compared to the search that they've had for the Arizona Cardinals, that's something that the Arizona Cardinals, fans, everybody can appreciate right now. They have something they have going for them with the absence of a head coach currently. And it's something that we haven't experienced in the better part of a decade, or at least a decade. And it's something that brings nothing but hope. And that's something that people should take solace in and appreciate, even though things seem to be uneasy around the organization. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. There's another one that goes hand in hand with Monti Ossenfort being the GM. Like, that's something that the Cardinals have going for them. They've got their GM of the future. They've got their GM of the future with the attributes necessary to be able to change the trajectory of this organization. And that's a good thing. There's another very good thing that we, you, the team, the employees of the team haven't experienced in a very long time. That's a whole boatload of draft picks. That's another thing that the Cardinals have going for them. I'm going to dive deeper into that next as we roll on here on a live Thursday edition of Locked On Cardinals. So there's an entity that used to be a very big part of my life before, I found Locked On and before I found my other job that I currently am employed by, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just this vessel to be able to find jobs. But if you're a business owner and you need people to fill roles in your company and you don't know really where to start, LinkedIn Jobs can help. Like, as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve those goals. You can identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect them. You connect with them fast, free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. For the rest of the week, like tomorrow, which is the rest of the week, I'm going to do a little bit more of a deeper dive into Kyler Murray. Sean Payton said something very interesting on the Up and Adams show. FanDuel, they're FanDuel, we're FanDuel. Kay Adams, I'll get her on the show at some point because I do want to ask her about Sean Payton. She has Sean Payton on a lot. And Sean Payton pretty much not denied. He said, Terry Bradshaw said something about Sean Payton not wanting to coach Kyler Murray. And Sean Payton said, Not so fast. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow because the national media, it's easy to point at Kyler Murray and say, nope, I talked about this yesterday. Check it out on wherever free and available, wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. I talked about it. It's like national media doesn't talk about the Cardinals. They haven't talked about the Cardinals a lot, except for when they started 7-0 and 10-2. And then now it's easy to paint Kyler Murray in a bad light because he's the quarterback of a team that hasn't been able to finish in 2020 and 2021. And it seems he's plateaued. Okay. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to talk more about the new owner of the Phoenix Suns making a massive splash by trading for Kevin Durant. I want to bide my time and I want to see it go through first. Check out Locked On Suns, Brendan Clean, one of the best that we have on this platform. He's already all over it. He went live earlier today on YouTube. Please go check him out. He's giving you the up-to-date information, but everything surrounding Kevin Durant and him being the new member of the Phoenix Suns. But me, I host the Arizona Cardinals podcast, so I'm going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals today. There are three things the Arizona Cardinals have going for them, even though they don't have a head coach. First, it's Monti Ossenfort, the new GM. That's a big staple for an organization that wants to change the trajectory of pretty much what this organization has been since its existence. Let's say last 50 years, okay? I know they've won before that. I don't care. That's a big deal. Having tools for a GM to be able to utilize is another thing that the Cardinals have going for them. They have their full slate of picks, including compensatory picks. I think they're getting a third for Christian Kirk, and they're getting a fifth and a sixth, I believe. They have picks. Now, at this point, huge upside for not trading for Sean Payton. They get their picks. Who knows what's going to happen? There's already reports out that Chicago is going to get a massive ransom for number one overall. Now, that means that the Cardinals could be in play like for a massive ransom at 3. At this point, I don't care about Monti Ossenfort's past. The Cardinals need to get a home run guy with their first overall pick, with the first pick in the first draft. So Will Anderson, Jalen Carter. But if somebody at 8 or 9, I think Tennessee's at 9. That may not be true. There's a team in the late single digits, 8, 9, that want to move up, and they want to move up to 3, and they want to give the Cardinals an extra second this year and a first next year. It's like, what are we doing here? And the reason why this could get sticky is the Cardinals have so many needs. So it could work to their advantage where you're stacking not only for the 2023 draft, but for the 2024 draft. But with Chicago probably not drafting a quarterback at this point, I mean, I don't know. With Houston most likely drafting a quarterback, the Cardinals sitting there pretty. A lot can happen, but the thing that the Cardinals do have going for them is they've got a lot of picks. And that's something they haven't had in a long time, where it's like this could genuinely change this organization in one offseason. One draft, one free agency, one training camp, one offseason. And at the same time that NFL draft picks are one of the most overvalued entities in all of sports, when you have a lot of holes to fill, they're pretty important. And when you're trying to change the way things are done and change the way rosters are built, when you don't have to trade away assets for already established entities or making a lot of money already, and you can draft players and cultivate them and coach them and watch them mature on rookie scale contracts, that's how you win Super Bowls. And if we're talking about all of this timing where, Kyler Murray's contract is huge and, they're going to have to re-sign players, they're going to have to do all this, what better of a time for the Cardinals to have a massive amount of picks? And if they hit, you're kind of just doing it in reverse, because 3 years from now, Kyler Murray's contract is going to look like a steal. And then you're going to have these guys you hope, who you draft in the first and second round and third round, guys that are going to be every down players. And you're looking at this like, this is how you build Super Bowl caliber rosters. And the Cardinals have the tools, they have the ability to have the chance to build that type of team, where they've been hamstrung over the last 5 years, 6 years, where they've always been playing catch up. There's been a crack in the foundation. Steve Keim put a Band-Aid on it. There's been a crack in the foundation. He uses crazy glue. Instead of just shattering the foundation and building a new one, there's just been a lot of Band-Aids and a lot of crazy glue. So on top of having Monti Ossenfort as a guy with a history of this, of scouting, history of winning with the Patriots and elsewhere, and having a bevy of picks, this is what is set up to be potentially a trajectory shifting offseason for the Cardinals. And that's something fans, employees, everything in between have going for them, even though the Cardinals don't have a head coach. So while it's dark, while it's murky, why have the Cardinals not hired somebody? Are they going to interview, coordinators in the Super Bowl? Do they already have their guys? Going to be Lou Anarumo? Like, what's going on here? Take a beat and appreciate that there are a couple things the Cardinals have going for them that other teams do not. The New Orleans Saints have negative $60 million in cap space. It could be a lot worse. So just because they don't have a head coach yet doesn't mean that they're in a worse spot this offseason than they were last offseason, which is wild to think. Because what we didn't have, what we didn't experience last offseason was anything different than what happened 3 years before that. We knew what we were going to get. And we knew that there was going to need to be so many home runs hit in free agency and the draft and decisions made and nobody getting injured for things to be able to replicate from 2021 into 2022. It was almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that it just came down, shattered to the ground. And this is where we are. That was the clean break that was necessary for the Cardinals to be able to shake the Etch-a-Sketch, start a tabula rasa clean slate for the future and hopefully in pseudo-perpetuity for this team into winning ways. And that's why looking at the two things of hiring Monti Ossenfort and having a boatload of picks are two massive things for a team that needs an identity shift, a culture shift, an everything shift. The Arizona Cardinals in name only moving forward. And those two things in the first two segments that I talked about is a damn good start. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. There's one more that I'm going to talk about. And I'll talk about it next. Locked On Cardinals, FanDuel. So FanDuel is our new sports betting partner. Locked On Cardinals. This episode of Locked On Cardinals, in fact, is brought to you by the aforementioned FanDuel. We're really excited. Okay, they're the number one sports book in America. If you're new to FanDuel, it's even better. They have so many great features to make betting on sports fun and easy. You download the FanDuel app so you can go bet on Super Bowl 57. With a no-sweat first bet, you'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Even though the Cardinals don't have a head coach, there are three things they have going for them. Monti Ossenfort, new GM, a boatload of draft picks in an offseason where the Cardinals desperately need to hit on impact makers. 80% of the picks, 80% of the top picks need to hit. It's just one of those things. This isn't like it'll fall off, the side of a mountain if it doesn't, but we're going to find out quickly if Monti Ossenfort on paper is the same as Monti Ossenfort in the draft room on draft day for the first time calling the shots on his own, or as the top dog, as it were, for lack of a better phrase. That was terrible. Number 3. Now go with me here. I mean this constructively. It can't get much worse. It's only onwards and upwards. They've got nothing to lose. Like, Michael Bidwell is looked at as not a great owner up to this point. Okay. Fired Cliff, fired Keim. You have to give him credit for that. Absolutely. Hired Monti Ossenfort quickly. Good. Okay. A lot of boxes need to be checked for people to change their thought process on the dictionary definition of who Michael Bidwell is as the owner of a professional football team. Having a possibility to be better, to do better, and not be wrangled in with the same Bill Murray Groundhog Day, Sonny and Cher, I got you, babe, for the last 10 years with Steve Keim as GM. All that's available are possibilities. Now, could that mean that there's going to be movement, that DeAndre Hopkins could get traded? Sure. Does that mean that there's going to be movement like Byron Murphy may not get the money that he wants and may go elsewhere? Sure. Is there a possibility that Zach Allen could not? Like, so many things could change, okay? Because, again, and I've talked about this a lot, I've used this comparison a lot. If this is your first time hearing it, here it is. The Cardinals are a 13-year-old kid with braces, pimples, using Clearasil, like 9th grade, I think 9th grade, 13, I don't remember. I was younger. They're going to get through adolescence and into adulthood quickly. But right now, there's going to be some clunkiness. There's going to be some collateral damage. There is going to be some situations where it's like, man, do they really have to let that player go? Could they really not sign that player? Could they really not make that trade? These are things that are going to need to be unfolded. The Cardinals are trying to fold a fitted sheet. Some people are exemplary at it. Bill Belichick is. Andy Reid is. He can fold a fitted sheet like nobody's business. The Cardinals are trying to fold a fitted sheet for the first time. And I'm using metaphors because I'm trying to paint a picture like it looks bad last year. Well, you could say it was injuries. Sure, you could. And there were substantial injuries last year, even removing Kyler Murray when he went out with a season-ending injury. Even before that, DeAndre Hopkins suspension. Yes, a lot of things that didn't really apply to football were happening, but that was just the sign. That was the Lifetime Achievement Award. Here's your award for you shouldn't have your job. Here's your award. And it needed to happen in an effort to rip the Band-Aid off to be able to change the trajectory of this organization, hopefully. So, Monti Ossenfort GM, having a lot of picks. And really, and I don't say this like tongue-in-cheek, it couldn't get much worse than what we experienced last year. So the fact that the Cardinals have the 3rd pick in the 2023 draft, that's one of my favorite things about the NFL in situations like this, because it's like, even if they move to the 7th pick next year, it didn't get worse. Even if they move up to the 8th or 9th or 10th pick, didn't get worse than this year. So a positive trajectory and for things to come, built structurally different from what the Cardinals have been built since inception, is what the Cardinals have the capability to do now. And they didn't up until the day that both Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury got fired. All you want as an employee, all you want as a fan, all you want as somebody like me who wants to talk about positive things, damn it, is possibilities that good things could happen. And the lid off the bowl from the refrigerator has been taken off. So now there are possibilities. And that is something that should be incredibly exciting. Should be incredibly exciting. And I wanted to do this today because there hasn't really been a whole lot to be excited about as an Arizona Cardinals fan for a while. You know, there's been a lot of close call misses. Like Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins not getting to play together last year. That sucks. Not only would it have translated to more wins for the Cardinals, but also it could have, as I said during the preseason, during the offseason, during the season, the biggest nightmare was that they wouldn't be able to play meaningful snaps together. Those little, like, quick misses for things of possible things that could have happened, and Kyler Murray got hurt, that was it. Possibilities are endless moving forward. Doesn't mean it's going to be great. Doesn't mean it's going to be good next year. But what it does provide is a vessel for it to be good/great. It provides the possibility for that. A full slate of picks this draft, a full slate of picks next draft. It could take 2 off seasons, and by 2024, Kyler Murray would be fully healthy, you'd hope, rehabbing from his ACL tear. Like, there's so much positivity on the horizon that hasn't really been experienced for a while here. And that is something that, even though the Cardinals don't have a head coach yet, fans can take solace in. People who cover the team, who've talked about this team for years like me, can take solace in that the potential for good times ahead is so much better than the potential for things to not get worse. And the clear distinction between the two is what's got me smiling today.